Hey guys, how's it going? So today I'm bringing you a video talking about the new information we got about the new Xbox called Xbox Project Scarlett, which is some information that was released today during Microsoft's E3 briefing. I know E3 technically hasn't started yet, but Microsoft has been doing their briefing on Sundays the last few years before the show. So I know that EA went yesterday, and Microsoft is today, and Bethesda is going on right now as I'm doing this. I'm not going to really talk much about the games, though, because whatever. Those don't interest me as much right now. But I will mention a couple quick highlights from the show. So they did show some bigger, like, AAA games. They did show Gears of War 5. They did show Halo Infinite, which is actually going to be one of the launch titles for the new generation of consoles. That was because Phil Spencer said that last time when they made the original Xbox that journalists said that Halo was the, quote, definitive experience or definitive reason to buy Xbox. And I totally agree with that. That was basically one of the main sellers. It basically launched the Xbox, made it relevant. And so they announced that. The biggest demo of the day, I thought, or the biggest thing of the day, I thought, was, other than a couple other things, was Cyberpunk 2077. That seemed to have gotten the warmest reception from the crowd, which was pretty cool. Everybody was super excited about that. And then also, something that's cool is Keanu Reeves is going to be in Cyberpunk 2077. Keanu Reeves came out. It showed his character in the game. It looked like him. I was like, that's Keanu Reeves. And then he came out on stage and talked about the game for a little bit. It was just sort of like, a PR type thing, like just to make some hype, but that was pretty cool. They did also announce that there is a new version of the Elite controller coming out. The Elite controller Series 2 is what they're calling it. Looks relatively similar. It does have a textured grip all the way around, which looks phenomenal. I've had two of those controllers. The first one I bought broke relatively early on, and I was super upset about it. So I bought the second one and bought it with the protection plan from Best Buy for 2 years so that they would replace it if anything happened to it, because my other one didn't even last a year. And it's been an excellent controller. It's the only controller I use, and I'm super thrilled about it. But so there's going to be 3 profiles instead of 2. They have shorter hair triggers, so your trigger pull is less when you do the hair triggers. And then the coolest part by far was that the analog sticks are now adjustable, so you can adjust the tension on the sticks. So you can adjust whether you want to make the sticks tighter or whether you want to make them more loose. So, ultra tight, for example, for like a driving game where you'd want to be ultra precise, or really loose for a game, for something like you'd want like a, for a shooter game, for example. So, anyway, so let's move on to the console talk here. So, they showed a little trailer for the console talking about some of the stuff. So they want to mold together mobile, PC, and streaming. They want to bring all those together so they're all in one place. Now, this was just an interview with a bunch of developers. Mike Ibarra was in there, who's high up at Xbox. I think he's vice president of Xbox. And they just had a lot of different people in there saying stuff. There was Bonnie from 343 who makes Halo. They were in there. So these are quotes from a few of different them. But they said it's the games that you want, with the people you want, with the devices you want. So, they're just trying to give these buzzwords, kind of make people excited for the, however customizable this is going to be. xCloud, which is Xbox's gaming stream service, is going to be a big part of that. They didn't talk about that really, but that'll be a thing. So they said, one of the engineers said they didn't just want to build just another console. They want to build something truly transformative. And normally when you hear someone say something like that, you're like, okay, he's just saying the right words. But those words were chosen carefully, and that is a big deal. The fact that they don't just want to put out another Xbox, they want it to be a truly next-gen transformative experience. So their goal is to make it so that there's no pauses and no loading screens, really. They feel that when you're playing a game and when you go to load into the game and when you're running through an open world and it has to load, and these elevator scenes where there's a slow-moving elevator and it's loading the game, like, they want those to be a thing of the past. They want to make it to the point where it's just more seamless. So Mike Ibarra said that this generation is going to be a bigger leap than anything we've done before. Now, when we found out about the PlayStation 5 information, what hardware was going to be in there, this is what I've been saying since then, is that this really is going to be a monumental upgrade in consoles. Like, we haven't seen this kind of upgrade in 15 years. Now, obviously, he's from Xbox. He's a vice president of Xbox, so it's in his interest to talk it up a little bit. But in my opinion, it's at least going to be the biggest upgrade we've had in 15 years, which is nothing to slouch at. I mean, think about where you were 15 years ago. So that's how much of an upgrade it's going to be. So it is Zen 2 and it is Navi graphics, which are awesome. Zen 1 was a 50% improvement at the same clock speed, was a 50% improvement on the current Xbox and PlayStation, and then a 5% increase for Zen Plus, and now a 15% increase for Zen 2. So we're already looking at a console that's going to be 70% more powerful in the CPU department if it's clocked at the same speeds, which I almost guarantee it's not going to be. It's going to be higher clocked than that. The processing power, at least the processing power from what they said, is it's 4 times as powerful as the Xbox One X. Now, in my opinion, that refers to twice as much GPU power, twice as much CPU power. I'm almost certain the GPU is going to be somewhere around the 12 teraflop, and the One X does 6 teraflops. So I think that's what they mean when they say 4 times the power. I don't know, but 4 times the power. They're using high bandwidth GDDR6. Now, relative to what's in there now, all of GDDR6 is relatively high bandwidth, so I don't know if they're just saying that to say it's faster, or whether they mean the actual high bandwidth version of GDDR6, which is the highest tier of GDDR6. Not really sure. They were a little bit ambiguous on that. And now he says they're going to have resolution and frame rates that we've never seen before. And then he paused and looked at the camera and said, like we've never seen before. So it supports up to 8K, which is a pretty big deal. Sony PS5 is going to do that, so I wasn't too surprised by that. What I was surprised by, which is a big shock, is that they said it's going to support up to 120 FPS. 120 frames per second. Considering most games now run at 30, they're talking about quadrupling that. I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about that, honestly. Obviously, it's going to be up to the developer to do something with that, but that's insane. Absolutely insane. I won't even touch on that because it's so insane. Variable refresh rate, which basically will allow you to play it with FreeSync monitors or TVs, so that, if you don't always get 120 FPS, if sometimes you get 90, sometimes you get 60, it'll make that a lot smoother. It is going to have next generation ray tracing, and it's going to be hardware accelerated ray tracing. So they're actually going to have a hardware component to it that's going to accelerate the ray tracing, which is pretty cool. We talked about a new generation SSD. They're using the SSD as a virtual RAM. So new generation meaning PCIe 4.0 SSD. And they're going to be using the SSD as virtual RAM, so I don't really know if that means they're going to have a full-size SSD or if it's going to be a smaller SSD with a regular hard drive. I mean, I'm not really sure. They didn't really say. They're saying, though, that it's over 40 times the performance of what we're getting on the current generation, that's a big number. So one of the guys said the combination of the system on the chip, which is the AMD CPU and the Navi graphics, he said the combination of the new chip and the SSD is going to bring this to be a totally new experience. They want moving through worlds to be seamless. You don't have to wait for loading. That's what the next generation is all about, in their words. So they want to give developers the power they need to build the game they've always envisioned so they can be ultra creative. Basically, what they're doing is they're removing any hardware limitations for these developers right now. This is basically going to be the best hardware you can get. When it launches in a year, it won't be quite the best, but it's very close to the best hardware you can get, and it's worlds better than what we're dealing with now. And so it's not just about a new console, guys. It's about the future of gaming, and that's what they said in there. Normally, I'd think that was kind of a bunch of crap, but I truly believe that this time around because that is where we're going. It really is a future thing. So it's called Project Scarlett. It's launching holiday 2020, and Phil Spencer said that they built this specifically for creators to unleash their boldest creative vision. And they also created it for gamers. They optimized it for gamers so they can bring the ultimate gaming experience on a console anywhere. He said in the previous generations, Phil Spencer said in the previous generations, the power, the generation was defined by what you could see. And he said with this new generation, it's not only the power you can see, but it's also the power you can feel. It's going to totally revolutionize the way these consoles are done. So, I have a couple videos. I have a video talking about the Ryzen 3000, which is Zen 2, and the Navi graphics, and I have one talking about PS5 a couple times, so those are both relevant if you guys want to check those out. But I'm super thrilled. To be honest, we kind of knew most of this stuff already, but it's nice to hear it from them and nice to hear their vision and where they want to go with it. So I'm super thrilled. Thank you guys for checking this one out. See you another time.